Thank you to Ritual for sponsoring. More on them later. In today's video, I'm sharing the power of keeping a commonplace book and how it will absolutely change your life. Hello everyone, Jennifer L. Scott here, and welcome to the Daily Connoisseur. So we're going to be talking about commonplace books. In today's video, I'm going to tell you what they are, why you should keep one, and how they're going to change your life. So I've always been really big on journaling. I kept a journal my whole childhood and young adulthood. I have volumes of journals from when I was younger. And then I got married and had kids and I stopped journaling. I think a lot of the times when people grow up and they do adult things like start a family, they tend to lose themselves a bit. So I did lose the process of journaling in my life, but I have recently reclaimed that and I am journaling again in many different ways. I have different notebooks, journals, and planners that I write in throughout the day. But the most important notebook that I keep is my commonplace journal. So first of all, what is a commonplace book? So I have some notes here that I'm going to refer to, but this is the official definition. Commonplace books are a way to compile knowledge, usually by writing information into books, okay, in the simplest sense. Commonplace books have been kept from antiquity. This is not a new journaling concept, this is actually an ancient one. So commonplace books differ from traditional diaries or journals because those are written usually in chronological order. You write about your day or things that have happened in your day or your thoughts. But a commonplace book is a place where you can compile valuable information that you receive throughout the day, through what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're listening to, and you put it all in one book, in one common place. I've been doing this for a while and I didn't actually know that there was a term to describe what I was doing, but one of my viewers let me know this. This is the one that I've been keeping for the past year. It's from Designworks Inc. And I love their journals, so I'll leave them down below. But my commonplace book is almost full, so I'll be starting a new one, and when I start a new one, it's going to be this one. I like to have high quality journals for this because I plan to keep these books for the rest of my life, and I reference them quite a bit, so I want the book to be rather sturdy. So here's how I keep my commonplace book. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I read a lot of books. And when I read books, and I come across a quote or a piece of information that I don't want to forget, I will write it down in my commonplace book. Now you might think, okay, what's the point of that? Because if I'm reading a book, I might just highlight it, you know? And that's valid too. I write up and mark up all my books, I highlight them, I write in them. But it's actually even more powerful if you transcribe the thought, the quote, the proverb, the thing that you're studying into your journal, because you're processing it. It's going through your brain, it's going out through your hand, you're writing it down on paper. And so that's what I do in my commonplace journal. In 1685, the English Enlightenment philosopher John Locke wrote a treatise in French on commonplace books. And the English title of that was A New Method of Making Commonplace Books. And here's a quote from what he wrote. In which techniques for entering proverbs, quotations, ideas, speeches were formulated, Locke gave specific advice on how to arrange material by subject and category using such key topics as love, politics, or religion. So with a commonplace book, you can have one common theme. If there's something you're really focusing on, like let's say you want to develop your career, you could have a commonplace book on that because I'm sure you're listening to a lot of motivational podcasts or reading books or taking part in the education that you need in order to further your career. You could keep a commonplace book on that. Or if you want to expand your homemaking and you want to grow in the knowledge and the beauty of homemaking, you can keep one on that. So you can have a specific topic. My commonplace book is really on spiritual and self-development matters. So when I come across really deep concepts about God, about the universe, about my life and what it all relates to, how I can develop myself as a person, I typically will write it down in my commonplace book. And I keep it organized in a sense that I will always write down the date the book that it came from and the author, and then the quote. Sometimes I'll write my thoughts on it. I'm going to take a minute to tell you about Ritual, who have kindly sponsored today's video. You know that I love Ritual. I've been taking their Essentials for Women 18 Plus multivitamin for years. I absolutely love it. And Ritual are now offering a new product called Symbiotic Plus, which is a 3-in-1 prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplement to help support gut, digestive, and immune health. They of course come with that wonderful minty capsule that make them so pleasant to taste. They have a delayed release capsule designed to help reach the colon, not the stomach, which is an ideal place for probiotics to survive and grow. There's no refrigeration needed. Symbiotic Plus is also made traceable, showing you every labeled ingredient, supplier, and key studies that go into their vegan-friendly products. Symbiotic Plus and Ritual are here to celebrate, not hide your insides, and that's why Ritual is offering you all 20% off your first month using my code 20dailyc. That's 20% off during your first month by going to ritual.com/20dailyc and using code 20dailyc at checkout. Thank you so much to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. An offshoot of the Commonplace book is called Florilegium, and that means a collection of literary extracts or an anthology. But Florilegium literally means a gathering of flowers. So it's like these ideas that you put in your book are like flowers that you pick from your garden that you collect and put into a beautiful curated bouquet. I love that concept. So in medieval Latin, a Florilegium was a compilation of excerpts from other writings and is an offshoot of the commonplacing tradition. The word is from the Latin flos and leger, literally a gathering of flowers or collection of fine extracts from the body of a larger work. So the book records wise sayings, quotes, passages, adages that actually mean something to you. In essence, you are collecting extracts that are meaningful to your life and you're putting them all in one place. So you can see how valuable this is, because you could have a library of books where you have all your notes scattered throughout them. But when you have a commonplace book, you come to one common place where all the information is. And I can't tell you how many times I will sit down and flip through my commonplace book and see wisdom that I needed to hear again. Because sometimes these things come into our heads and then they go away, we forget them. But when you write them down, it is very powerful. There are two main reasons why I think that you should keep the Commonplace book. The first is that if you don't record this information in a book that's valuable to you, it's likely to just enter your head and go out into the ether. Some of the main points might stick, but otherwise you might forget. And it is too complicated to go through your entire library of books constantly flipping through to look for your highlights, for example. Especially if you listen to audiobooks, that information is gone. So I like to write it down all in one place. And then the second benefit to keeping a commonplace book is that it makes you pay closer attention to your life. And when you listen to a podcast or an audiobook or you read a regular book, if you have a commonplace book in your life, you're more likely to approach this material through the lens of expecting to extract valuable information from it. So for example, I recently did a video on the compound effect by Darren Hardy. There were so many insights from that book, but I took a handful of them and I wrote them down in my notebook, and then I was able to do a video for you. If I didn't write those tips down, those ones that really impacted me, I might have forgotten them, but writing them down solidifies them more and helps you apply them to your own life. And now I want to share 5 practical tips on keeping your commonplace book. So the first one is that as you have your book, don't forget about it. Don't let it collect dust on the shelf, but keep flipping through it on a regular basis. Try to do it even once a day or at least once a week, where you kind of flip through the book and read a bit from your journal entries there, okay? The second tip I have is to not stifle yourself by giving your commonplace book limitations. You don't have to have a niche topic for your commonplace book. It could just be the gathering of flowers. the gathering of beautiful things that are meaningful to you, and that could be their common theme. So you don't need to panic and think you need a notebook for every single subject. You could keep it all together in one place if you want to. Having said that, tip number 3 is to not be afraid to do a single subject book if that's what you want to do. So my Commonplace book really does have the theme of spiritual and self-improvement matters. So I'm probably not going to be putting a recipe into my Commonplace book. It is good to have it somewhat narrow and to look at it that way. The 4th tip is to keep your Commonplace book nearby. Keep it handy. I keep mine at home, and this always happens. I'll have my AirPods in, I'll be around the house cleaning the kitchen or folding laundry or something, listening to a book, and then a brilliant piece of information comes up. I pause what I'm listening to, I go find my Commonplace book, and I write it down. If I'm not able to write it down immediately, what I generally do is write it down in the notes on my phone in that little app, and then later on in the day, I will write it down with the date and the book that it came from. But just always make sure that you're able to access it. Sometimes I can't even do that. So what I'll do is, yesterday this happened. I was listening to an audiobook. I was at the 4-hour and 51-minute mark, and there was something I really wanted to write, but I couldn't. So I just remembered in my head, 4 hours and 51 minutes. And then when I came home, I listened to that and I wrote it down in my Commonplace book. And the 5th tip is to keep this secret and keep it special to you. So I know I'm kind of breaking that rule by doing this video and telling you about mine, but that's kind of my channel, is sharing these lifestyle tips. But I want you to keep this as something special with yourself. You don't need to share your Commonplace book on social media unless you want to. It's actually more special if you keep it private. You know, for example, I'm not telling you what's in my Commonplace book. Keep it private, keep it very special to yourself, and don't share with others. I find sometimes that with especially self-improvement things, the more I share with others, the more the energy and power behind it dissipates. So I like to keep a lot of things to myself, especially if you're working on a goal with this. I'm always looking to just improve myself in general. My character, my values, my creativity, all of these things I'm constantly working on. So that's what I'm really focusing on with my Commonplace book. So don't feel like you need to share it on Facebook. You can keep it private for yourself and do it consistently. And over time, you're really going to see an improvement in the area that you're journaling about, I promise you. At the end of the day, your Commonplace book will act as a book of muses. It will be your muse. You will be able to look in there and find inspiration and keep these special, meaningful things to you. And a final bonus tip, don't confine it to just writing. You could get creative if that's how you like to be. You could put stickers in it. You could paste dried flowers in it. You could put special mementos in your Commonplace book. This is likely a journal that you will keep forever and maybe your children will inherit. So make it special and make it beautiful. I hope that this video inspired you to keep a Commonplace book. I would love to know if you already keep one. What is your experience with it? Thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. Get 20% off your first month using my code 20dailyc. That's 20% off during your first month by going to ritual.com/20dailyc and using code 20dailyc at checkout. We will continue to discover the various subjects of journaling on this channel because it is a major passion of mine, and I hope that you enjoy these topics as well. Before we go, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my free author newsletter. If you go to jenniferlscott.com, there's a place where you can enter your email address at the top of the website and click subscribe. It's totally free. I send out one newsletter a month. This is replacing my blog, and it's something that I'm really enjoying. So I invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Connoisseur. Keep calm and remain classy, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye. you.